Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Got a lot of stuff planned for you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, lots of stuff. I tell you what, we got to start with South Carolina. Their head coach Shane Beamer met today with his weekly press conference. And, you know, there's lots of things that can come out of those press conferences, but this week, it's, hey, coach, what's the deal here, man? It's the Gamecocks with their starting quarterback. And I think a lot of folks look at it from this perspective. Man, you were hoping that you would have an answer by now, but Shane Beamer today talked about that. And here are his comments about the Gamecock quarterback situation.
No, we haven't. Couple things on that. Luke just got his cast off on Sunday. So, I mean, I don't think we're not going to name a quarterback until we see what his situation is. He got his cast off on Sunday. He's in a boot right now. I talked to him before practice. He's able to take the boot off and move around a little bit, but when he's out on the field, he's got the boot on. Feels good. We'll keep progressing him along and see where he is. So that's one situation we're still working through. With the other guys that are competing, I mean, frankly, Zeb had a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice last week and a scrimmage, so he's really only been playing quarterback for obviously a week. So give him today, tomorrow, Thursday will be critical practices, and then I think we'll have a better idea how that thing's going to shake out here towards the end of the week once we get through these next few practices with our current quarterbacks, and then once we see what Luke's situation is also.
I was about to say, do you have a drop-dead date that you know that we got to have a guy by this time?
I mean, you'd love to go into next week where everybody knows who the quarterback is, where we can rally around that guy and he starts getting those reps with the first group and things like that as well. But, I mean, all those guys, Luke before he got injured, Jason, Zeb now, I mean, they've all gotten plenty of work with that first group, with that second group, and whoever it is. I mean, we've got confidence whoever takes the first snap out there next Saturday night to go perform and lead us. So from that standpoint, yes, sooner the better. But at the same time, all those guys are ready to play, whoever it is.
There you go. So we'll take calls on that this afternoon. That is at 803-978-1832. Who do you think the Gamecocks are going to start at quarterback? I'm going to talk about the alliance here in a moment. So folks tuning in for that, yeah, we're going to get into that as well. But one of the big things that I took from the Shane Beamer press conference was there was a lot of talk about Zeb Noland. Everything was not everything, but there was a lot of talk about Noland. And Beamer said, hey, when he's out there, you feel like it gave them like a sense of ease when he's out there. Would that not be the craziest story ever if South Carolina took a graduate assistant and he ended up being the starting quarterback? Now, Luke Doty may end up being the guy, and to be honest, they could roll just about any of us out there and beat Eastern Illinois next weekend with their backups. Okay. Eastern Illinois is an FCS team. They're coming down here to collect a paycheck. Let's just be completely honest about that. But who do you think the Gamecocks are going to start at quarterback? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. One other breaking news story. And by the way, if you follow the blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com, you'd already have this story in your pocket. Yes, pull it up on your phone and check it out. The Travis Etienne last night playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars and ended up with a foot injury that's going to require surgery. He will miss at least 12 weeks, probably the entire regular season. The Jaguars were hoping that he would come in there with James Robinson, and they'd have a really nice 1-2 punch there to help out with the development of Trevor Lawrence for this first season. So Travis Etienne gets hurt and is not going to be playing for the first bit here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there you go. If you want to respond to that, 803-978-1832. I've got another thing here that I want to get into, and that is this alliance. They called it a gentleman's agreement. And here's the thing. They said at the top of the hour that they're not going to look at different schedules and all of that. And basically changing the way that schedules work. But here's the big thing with all this. I think in the end, it's going to do a lot of things like maybe block out the expansion of the college football playoff. But my thing is that if you're doing something as a reaction to what the SEC did, which is expanding to the point where they're getting Texas and Oklahoma, I've never been this kind of person that, and once again, I'm obviously in the minority on this. There are people that lose their minds. Oh my God, we're in the SEC. This is like having 7 million orgasms at one time. That's kind of the vibe that you get from some people. Those people are not very smart fans. You should support your team, not the conference that they're in. I don't understand this whole concept of we play in this conference and we're not Alabama, but we want you to think we're Alabama. Is that what it is? It's like Vince McMahon used to have like the Hulk Hogan rub. He'd put guys in there with Hulk Hogan and sprinkle they called it the Hogan fairy dust on them, basically. This guy looks like he's good because he's with an A1 type talent in Hulk Hogan, even though he may not be. We're going to put him in there, and then people will think he's big because he's playing with big people. That's basically the whole knowledge with this conference superiority thing. Now, I know there's going to be people that are going to say, well, Rob, the ACC was 0-7 in bowl games. Yeah, I get that. But those same people had their mouths shut when teams from the ACC were doing things in bowl games to SEC teams and making them look stupid, like Wake Forest hanging a double nickel on Texas A&M. They just seem to automatically just forget that. None of that matters. But since we're going back to this, if you are responding to the SEC, this alliance should be set up and be more cutthroat. Hey, guess what? We're going to honor some of those contracts for the next 2 seasons, but after that, we're only going to play each other. The idea of a matchup where you're going to have your SEC teams, you guys can play each other. You guys can go over there. You think you've got the best conference in the world? Have at it. We're going to sit over here with the icons of our conference, our new alliance here, and we're just going to play each other, and we're going to shut you out. That's what they should have done. But it's more of a, oh, well, we're just going to do this, and it doesn't really matter if you go and do that. Where's the teeth in that? That doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. If you want to put the SEC on notice, you need to have somebody that's a little more cutthroat than Kevin Warren from the Big Ten. Or, I mean, because he's the veteran as far as the conference commissioners here. If you want to go out and go to war with the SEC, yeah, you may not have a snowball's chance in hell of winning on the football front, but you get them in other sports. You get them in basketball, where they're not very good. You get them in everything else. That's the way that you should be doing it. But it's like they want to go and kiss the ring of the SEC, and I don't get it. There are good teams that are in this alliance that can line up every week in the SEC, and with the majority of the teams there, they can dominate. You think Ohio State, Clemson, teams like that can't go in and win the SEC East? Get out of here. Stop it. Now, I know they're going to be like, but it's from top to bottom. That makes no sense. There's 3 teams in the SEC that, on average, are going to be really, really great all of the time. If they were wanting to make an alliance where they were actually doing something, they're going about it all wrong. Out to the phones, 803-978-1832. And 803-978-1832. To the phones we go. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. I think this ACC, Big 12, Big 10 alliance will change once the TV deals have to be negotiated.
I think so as well. But for the time being, though, if you're trying to make Greg Sankey at least have to sip his coffee a little bit harder, they didn't really do anything. Greg Sankey's laughing at this. He didn't even miss his lunch.
Yeah, well, the SEC hasn't done anything else either. I mean, is Texas and Oklahoma going to be in the SEC next year? No.
Well,
It's going to be 2025.
They say it's 2025, but I'd be shocked if they had like a three-year wait there to get in. I mean, that's just me.
That's a lot of money they're going to have to give away.
Well, we'll
and
have
a
to
lot
see. Well,
of TV stuff.
As far as Texas goes, they don't care. They'll just print more money. They truly don't care. That's how arrogant that fan base and that athletic department is. They think that Texas is the end-all, be-all, which they should be in the SEC because that's kind of the way that conference thinks.
Well, you know, when Paul Feinbaum is crying about this alliance, you know it's not good for the SEC.
Well, yeah.
Because I think eventually they will say, look, we're going to stick together. We're not going to let them run it. Yeah, Clemson, you can maybe keep your game with South Carolina, but none of the Big 10 or the Big 12 have any, you know, anything to do with the SEC.
Yeah, I think that there's certain ACC, SEC rivalries that you'll have every year that, you know, Clemson, South Carolina is one of them. You've got Georgia Tech, which, let's be honest, Georgia's been beating them like a government mule for a while now. When Georgia Tech wins, it's an exception rather than the rule. Georgia Tech would probably be better off saying, you know what? We don't want to take that butt cutting every year. Let's just take that game off our schedule. I mean, why would you want to play that game? Seriously. If you're Georgia Tech, the way that Georgia has just completely dominated that series.
Yeah. And I saw what Paul Feinbaum said. It's not going to help the Big 10 recruiting or the Big 12 recruiting. When you get down in the state of Florida, and when you get to come down and play at Clemson and you get the kids from Georgia see it, sure, it's going to help them.
Well, no, I think that the recruiting for Oklahoma and Texas, they're always in the top 15 anyway.
I mean teams like, you know, Minnesota, teams like Wisconsin, if they get a game against Miami, they get a game against Florida State, Clemson. I mean, those teams like that can come down. You know, Oregon can travel across the country and maybe play, you know, Florida State or Clemson. It's going to help their recruiting.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. As far as they get to go and recruit in different areas that
they go down south to recruit because Texas is already down south. It's not like they're expanding their footprint anywhere.
Right.
Texas recruits most of their guys out of Texas anyway. Oklahoma too.
Right. Well, and there's that too, but I think that maybe their logic with this alliance is we're going to give you, I don't know, 4 matchups a year that are going to be just really, really matchups that people want to see. You know,
primetime games.
Clemson, Ohio State, Florida State, Michigan. I mean, you can do Oregon and Ohio State. I mean, there's a list of different games that you can go with here, and then set that up as, hey, this is what you really want to see on TV, and take eyes away from the SEC. But if they really wanted to do something, they would point blank say, you know what? We're not playing any of you guys anymore. I mean, let's be honest. You don't want to schedule teams outside of the conference anyway, unless it's at a neutral site. Remember, Florida hasn't played an out-of-state non-conference game since like the 90s on the road. So, I mean, it's just the lie that the SEC is built on.
Alabama doesn't do it either.
Alabama tried to kill the UAB program. I mean, this is just the way that things are. That now, when you're in that SEC bubble, though, no one wants to talk about it. It's just, we're great, yay! And in reality, it's not good at all.
Yeah, Florida ducked Miami for what, a decade and a half with Spurrier there?
Exactly.
They didn't want anything to do with Miami.
Yeah, that's just the way that it is. Now, and now, trust me, some of these teams that are in the alliance, they don't want to play tough games either. Everyone wants to get to that 7-8 win plateau and have a shot at going to the college football playoff every year. So it's not just the SEC that's being silly here. I just use the SEC as an example because they have the reaction there that everybody's doing the reaction from the stimulus, which of course is Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference.
Yeah. Well, you know, those big games that Clemson has started, you know, it started with Auburn and went to Texas A&M. It really helped them.
I think it did. But you know what? If Clemson had scheduled Ohio State, if Clemson
that'll help them too.
Yeah, Clemson had scheduled Michigan, if Clemson had scheduled Oregon, they would have gotten the same bump. Yeah,
but I think every team wants, you know, one big marquee game a year. You know,
I agree, man.
You know, besides just playing, you know, your in conference, the game that people see every year.
That's true. And sometimes, but I agree with the tradition of some of those matchups. For Clemson, the Textile Bowl with NC State, that used to be one of the biggest games on their schedule. For South Carolina, like they had built up where they played Arkansas every year. There was kind of some rivalry with that, and then that was taken away, and they were replaced with Texas A&M. So I mean, there's games on that schedule you look forward to.
Well, NC State didn't go anywhere with the head coach they have, except 7 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just not the smartest guy out there. I mean, go to Wake Forest, bring him into NC State and see what he can do, because they could just recruit better there.
That's one of those what-if questions that is just outstanding. What if Dave Clawson had a budget and had the ability to get some more talent?
He can coach.
He can absolutely coach. He takes 3-win teams at Wake Forest and wins 8 games with them every year. So I think the problem with him, though, is that he's generally smarter than the athletic directors. I mean, I truly believe that. If you watch his press conferences, he is so smart that I don't think the average athletic director can sit there and have an interview with him, because they're looking around thinking, I can't hire anybody that's smarter than I am. That's not going to work. All right, man. You got anything else for the show today?
Yeah, man. Who do you see in the ACC championship? I see Miami, Clemson.
Well, I'm going to give my ACC picks later next week. Next week is pick week, but I will tell you that the Coastal Division, I do not have Miami going to the championship game. My pick is.
I think they got a lot of talent.
We shall see.
Yep. Thank you, man.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Dum Dum Online says, are you going to address Travis Etienne's injury and how this is on Dabo for having him using him too much in college? I'll hang around and listen. Dum Dum, look at the carries that he had last season. That does not help your argument there. Travis Etienne didn't carry the ball a lot last year. So also, this was the kind of foot injury that was just from planting his foot. If you were smart, you would know that has nothing to do with wear and tear, etc. Also, Dabo Swinney did not make the actual tackle in New Orleans. I appreciate your dumbass listening to the show, though. You can feel free to call at 803-978-1832. Quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you here on The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, the gentleman's agreement didn't work didn't really work for Texas A&M. Sweeney Osterine, you're just trolling, brother. You don't know what you're talking about. So go back to grading papers, let grown folks talk. You don't know what you're talking about. Absolutely don't know what you're talking about.
Spending time outdoors can improve overall health and wellness. Celebrate Earth Day and take advantage of nature's health benefits by visiting a local park. Recreate responsibly to protect yourself and others, and to make the outdoors safe and welcoming for people of all identities and abilities. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth. We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates.
Yes, commercial break.
Here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with
My wife likes to text me during the show. It's funny.
800-575-2073. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your taxes, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you really stop and think about it. When Travis Etienne, if you look at his carries last season, let's look at his carries last season. Let's see here. 168 carries last year, which were like 40 carries worse than he had from the year before. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Let's get Jacob on the phone. Jacob, what do you got for the show today, buddy?
Oh, hello. So I was coming to ask, was Rob being serious when he said Kirby Smart was not a top 25 head coach?
I'm saying he's not the top in the top 25 of coaches that I would want because he's unproven as far as making second half adjustments and the ability to keep certain players within the program. So that's why I wouldn't want him coaching my team.
You realize that he's one of the best recruiters in college football,
I don't
right?
care. Recruiting is one thing. Winning on the field is another. I want results on the field. I don't care if you can recruit.
He's on the field. He's got 11-1.
Sure. He had the third highest rated roster in the country last season and could not win the SEC East.
All right, yeah, 1 year. Okay, how many years? How many coaches can say they've gone 11-1 3 years in a row?
Well, there aren't very many coaches that can say I had the third ranked team in the country as far as my roster goes, and I didn't win my division. That's the Kirby Smart Award.
Okay, but you say that you would not want him when he has all the talent
I didn't
and
stutter.
everything.
Didn't stutter. Would not want him. Give me Lincoln Riley. There's tons of coaches that are much better.
Okay, that's not 25 coaches.
Sure. I'm not going to name all 25 coaches. I'm just telling you I could probably write down 25. I'll put the 25 on my blog page.
There's not
later
25 coaches.
Yes, there are. I'm not hiring a recruiter, sir. I'm not hiring a recruiter. I'm hiring someone that wins. That's what I want, is someone that wins.
He does win.
He didn't win his division last year.
Didn't
win the division.
Would you rather?
He didn't win the
division. Are you
division.
saying that Georgia's the one?
I'm saying if you have the third best roster in the country, according to 247 Sports, you should be able to win your division and not let the team that finished with, I think, the 23rd best roster in the country win their division. I don't think that's much of an ask.
Recruiting is a part of college football.
Sure,
right?
But it's not all of it. It's not all of it. It's retaining players. It's getting players to stay. That's a big part of it. And it's winning when you have more talent.
There is not. I mean, how many teams go 11-1 every year? I mean, how many?
Did they go 11-1 last year, sir?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, okay, that's 1 year. Dan Mullen, that was his first division win in 13 years.
Sure.
Is he a better coach than Kirby Smart?
I don't like Dan Mullen either. As far as X's and O's go, though, if I could combine Dan Mullen and Kirby Smart together, that might be a good coach, simply because Mullen could do the X's and O's on offense and let Kirby Smart recruit and let him run the defense. That might be a hybrid that might work out.
Okay, but you saying that Kirby Smart's not a top 25 coach?
That's for me. Now, as far as numbers go, he may end up in there, but it's for me. If you're telling me he's not one of the top 25 coaches that I would want running my program.
He's at least top 10.
Okay, well, that in your land, but in mine, he's not.
Well, I don't understand that.
Okay, well, I can give you another thing too. The offense at Georgia is still somewhat antiquated. They couldn't get the point where they had Justin Fields there, and they couldn't utilize his talents. Now, I know that he picked Jake Fromm to run that offense. The reason he picked Jake Fromm to run the offense is because it wasn't set up for Fields to run it. It's that kind of thing,
look at us
man.
now. We have JT Daniels in one of the best offenses in college football.
Sure. One of the best offenses in college football, and couldn't win your division last year.
I'm talking about this year. I'm not talking about last
year.
Well,
we don't really know what's going to happen this year, man. That's the best part of it. That's why college football is the greatest sport on earth, because we're going to find out. Either A, I'm going to look really smart, or I'll look really stupid. Either way, I'll still be here, and you can call back and tell me, hey, Kirby won the division this year. And I will give him props. All right?
Yeah, I mean, all right. I mean,
thanks for calling the program, buddy. I appreciate it. You're welcome to call the program, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. I was looking up something that was interesting. The let's see here. Sweeney was online saying that Travis Etienne was overused last year and that wear and tear caused his foot injury. He had 17 carries less than Kevin Harris last year. Just throwing that out there. That's going to hurt Sweeney's argument online because he has a Kevin Harris tube top that is bedazzled. Let's see here. What else we got on the pro for folks up here today? Colonel Wooderson says, I'll be chanting SEC after the September 4th game. Colonel Wooderson, bless your heart, sir. Bless your heart. Blake asked if I like Mike Leach better than Dan Mullen. Well, Mike Leach and Dan Mullen together would make like I'd listen to them have a podcast. That'd be fun to watch right there. Absolutely would be fun to watch. Sweeney also says that South Carolina's taking down Georgia this year. So there you go with that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. Really quick, who's Shane Beamer going to start at quarterback? Well,
no, we haven't. A couple things on that. Luke just got his cast off on Sunday. So, I mean, I don't think we're not going to name a quarterback until we see what his situation is. He got his cast off on Sunday. He's in a boot right now. I talked to him before practice. He's able to take the boot off and move around a little bit, but when he's out on the field, he's got the boot on. Feels good. We'll keep progressing him along and see where he is. So that's one situation we're still working through with the other guys that are competing. I mean, frankly, Zeb had a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice last week in a scrimmage, so he's really only been playing quarterback for obviously a week. So give him today, tomorrow, Thursday will be critical practices, and then I think we'll have a better idea how that thing's going to shake out here towards the end of the week once we get through these next few practices with our current quarterbacks, and then once we see what Luke's situation is also.
I was about to say, do you have a drop dead date that you know that we got to have a guy by this time?
I mean, you'd love to go into next week where everybody knows who the quarterback is, where we can rally around that guy and he starts getting those reps with the first group and things like that as well. But I mean, all those guys, Luke before he got injured, Jason, Zeb now, I mean, they've all gotten plenty of work with that first group, with that second group, and whoever it is. I mean, we've got confidence whoever takes the first snap out there next Saturday night to go perform and lead us. So from that standpoint, yes, sooner the better. But at the same time, all those guys are ready to play, whoever it is.
There you go. Gamecock coach Shane Beamer. They don't know who their quarterback is going to be yet. So hopefully we'll know by the end of the week. Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant, they had a lot of love for him today in that press conference. Lot of love today for him in that press conference. Is he going to be the guy that takes the Gamecocks out? I would be shocked, in my opinion, if Luke Doty goes out there for the first game. How do you benefit from having him out there that first game? I'm just saying, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Why not run somebody else out there and get some snaps? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Brandon, when we do our show on Wednesday night, we're going game by game with the Gamecocks, and we'll go from there. I'll give you all of that on Wednesday night. Good afternoon. Welcome to the rundown. What's your first name? Corey, hold on. Okay, we'll get right to you. Okay. Rundown. What's your first name? Hey, David, hold on. We'll get right to you. Okay. Hold on, buddy. You can definitely make that argument, Aaron. I don't know where that's going to go. They didn't really talk about Dakereon Joyner today. All the talk was about Zeb Noland and He did say Jason Brown had his best week of practice as a Gamecock. If I were Shane Beamer, I guess I could be saying, you know what? Why not put Zeb Nolan out there and, as who we're going to talk about, and then have Jason Brown as the starter. Keep that shade away from him. I can see that. All right, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. You guys want to join the program? The East Carolina has some really good offensive stuff, man. I don't think they had the physicality to stay with South Carolina, but they're going to score points. They are going to score points. I believe that wholeheartedly. South Carolina has better running backs. And you would think that they would win in the trenches as far as that East Carolina game, but that's going to be I don't think it's a toss-up game, but if South Carolina doesn't play clean, they could lose. They could lose that game. But if they just play the old sound fundamental football, they should be fine. I do think that they win that game, though. Ruffin McNeil or Ruffin O'Neal, whatever his name, isn't coaching up there anymore. Out to the phones we go. Good afternoon. Welcome into the rundown.
Yes, sir. I have two quick questions for you.
Sure.
One is, where do you rank Malik Cunningham in the ACC quarterbacks? And the other one is, what are your projections for Louisville this year?
For Louisville, I'm not very high on Louisville because I think they lost a good bit, if I remember correctly. And I do think that this is kind of a make or break year there for Scott Satterfield. As far as Cunningham goes, I've got to do a little more research on him. If I remember correctly, though, he can move around a good bit, and that's kind of what Louisville's going to need if they're going to. With their offensive line, I think they've got, 2 starters returning, if I remember.
Yes, and then they got a transfer from Virginia Tech, I believe, as well.
But, as far as the guys returning, that's the big deal on the offensive line anyway. And Cunningham's got to move around and throw the ball a little bit, but a 500 season for Louisville is about what I've got in my predictions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Next caller.
All right.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the rundown.
Hey, Rob. How you doing today?
Hey, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Got a question for you, or kind of it's a 2-part question, and I'll hang up and listen to you. But LSU. So I think LSU passed this morning that you're going to need to have COVID test negative or have the vaccine in order to go in to LSU, go into Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, I've got that to talk about today. But yeah, what's your question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is a 2-part. It's all these guys that are new, that are either freshmen, not really freshmen going into this year, but they were freshmen or didn't play much last year. So you have like a DJU over at Clemson, you have a Luke Doty or whoever their quarterback is in Carolina. Well, these guys have never faced a real crowd before. And so my question is, do you think that these guys, even though they may be upperclassmen or a little bit older, facing a real crowd for the first time, how much of a effect you think that's going to be? And then these teams that have COVID or have to have a vaccine or stuff, are they at a disadvantage because they don't really have a home field because maybe they don't have the same type of crowd as other teams do?
Hey, I appreciate your call, man. I'll answer those questions for you. Okay, first of all, as far as people playing in front of a crowd, I don't know how they're going to react. I mean, just to sit here and say I know would be, I would be lying to you. I think they played, Uyunglele played in front of 12,000 people last year with the Boston College game. The Notre Dame game, they didn't allow anyone except Notre Dame people that work at the school, basically. Notre Dame faculty. That was all that was at that game. So I don't know how he's going to react. I mean, I really, really don't. As far as that goes, and you could look at that into the sophomores that are up this year. How are they going to react in front of that crowd? I don't know. I really don't know. The other thing too is that that's going to affect a lot of these teams that they don't really have a home field advantage. Here's the big thing, though. I think that what happened at LSU is going to happen across the SEC and eventually the ACC. They became the first school to require a COVID-19 vaccine or negative test for fans at home games. And basically, if you don't have your vaccine or you can't produce a test from COVID in the past 72 hours that says that you're negative, you're not going to get into the stadium. And I think it's gotten to a point now where the state of Louisiana is, according to the New York Times data, just 40% of Louisiana adults are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, and 57 people for every 100,000 residents in the state is hospitalized due to COVID-19. So I don't want to sit here and have an entire show where we're going to talk about COVID-19, but it's already affecting the football season. I've seen some folks that are LSU fans on Twitter that have point blank, some of them have said, all right, I won't go. And there are people that are going to, dig their feet in the sand and be like, I'm not doing it. Me personally, I had COVID. I've mentioned that on the show. I am vaccinated. I'm not a vaccination snob. Okay. But I live in the land of personal responsibility. And what I mean by that is that I can't sit here and dictate to you what you should do. You should take care of yourself. You should do what your doctor tells you to do. Now, if you're going to lie to me, which is what a lot of people do, well, my doctor said that I shouldn't take it. I haven't heard very many doctors that have said that a normal person shouldn't take it. If you have a condition where it's out from you from before, then there's that. I'm doing the best that I can to keep myself healthy, and I took the vaccine. Now, on the other hand, I also live in the land of responsibility that if 3 years from now, the vaccine makes me grow a horn on my forehead, then that's on me too. We've just gotten to a point now where the land of personal responsibility just doesn't, no one cares about it. Okay. I wish that people would at least try to acknowledge the vaccine, but there are people that are just like, nope, not going to do it. Don't care. I would rather die. I've heard people say that. I would rather die than take your vaccine. Good luck, bro. Good luck. If you're willing to die to make a stance about a vaccine, then that's on you. You take care of yourself. I'll take care of mine. That's the way that it is. I'm responsible for me, the wife, and the 3 kids at the house. And of course, my lovely cat Harambe. Just saying. I don't know if what they're doing at LSU is going to take across the country, but it might. If it's at South Carolina or at Clemson or wherever, and they tell you, if you're going to come to a game, you got to have a vaccine. Here's the other thing. It only applies to people that are 12 and older. If you're under the age of 12, you got to wear a mask. So there you go with that. Ryan says, my work just announced that all employees, even remote, will have to get vaccinated or will be terminated before the end of the year. I'm not into all of that. Just saying you have to make your choice for what you think is best for you. The person that runs your company has decided that they're taking COVID seriously enough. They believe in the vaccine and they're saying, hey, you gotta take your vaccine. 803-978-1832. Would you go to a game if they tell you got to have a vaccine to go? We'll take calls on that at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. 1832. Daniel online says they won't cancel games in the Southeast. Only liberal states will. I'm not talking about canceling games. I'm talking about the going to the games. Going to the games. I will agree on this. The passion that the South has for college football is light years better than anywhere else around the country. Don't believe me? Go to a stadium. You'll see it. You're taking kind of a bite out of that if there's going to be a section of folks that aren't going to go. Anyway, we'll take calls on that. LSU becoming the first school to require a COVID-19 vaccine or negative test for the fans at home games. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I don't, I firmly believe in what I said. If you don't want to get the vaccine, then that's on you. That's on you. But you can't complain if the university says, hey, we don't want you here if you're not vaccinated. That's the decision they made. They'll probably get sued for it, saying, hey, you're publicly funded, et cetera, et cetera. But those are decisions that people made that are way, way high up on the food chain. I believe in what my doctor told me, and if the doctor says, hey, go get it, then you should go get it. SEU is right. Football does bring people together. Isn't that what's great? That's what's great about football. If you go to a stadium, you could literally be sitting next to a guy that you would never normally sit next to and talk with. It's interesting, to say the least. I went to a game a couple years ago, and I'm sitting next to a student on one side and a soccer mom like 2 seats down from us. You never know, man. People you would never meet. I don't think you have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated there, Jerome, according to this. You have to wear a mask if you're under the age of 12. And you are right, Ryan. Lots of companies are big on that. You are right about that. That is true, though, man. Football brings us together.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a happier planet. Less than 1% of water on Earth is drinkable, and humans are using it faster than nature can replenish it. Reduce the amount of water you use in the bathroom by taking shorter showers and turning the water off while you brush your teeth. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth. I'm Tamara Pridgett. And I'm Adrian Helbert. And we're co-hosts of Sweat the Details, a collaboration from Under Armour and iHeartRadio. It's a brand new podcast by women for women, here to shake up the conversation about women in sport and fitness. iHeartRadio is #1 for podcasts, but don't take our word for it. Find Sweat the Details on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Live music is back at our 2021 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Listen every weekday to win your way to this ultimate once-in-a-lifetime experience and win $1,000.
Final segment of the Rundown this afternoon. Some comments. Let's see here. Aaron says, as long as the states allow fans, the universities won't do anything. Athletic departments care more about cash than COVID. Thank you for that, sir. Blake says $1,000 cash would change some minds down in the dirty South. I do production here for iHeartRadio, and I cut spots for DeKalb County, which is in Georgia. And they were talking about, it was like $100 in DeKalb County for each person that would come in and get their vaccine. And they literally said, if you have 4 people that are in your house, A family of 4 means $400. Come on down. It's like, okay. Oh, man. Some other comments here. The thing does not help a team like Clemson is playing Big Ten, also Pac-12, yet the money is the same as ACC TV deal goes to 2036. Yeah, I think they're going to redo that ACC TV deal, though. I think that's going to happen. And I think this is kind of a shot across the bow, too, because, you can make an argument that ESPN controls a lot of the college football viewership. And, Fox, NBC, et cetera, they want to get in on that. They're going to do the best they can to try to work on that. Let's see here. Ryan says, why do you think certain South Carolina fans are so mad about Zeb? It's like they have Doty stock. I think that there were, and Shane Beamer actually said this in the press conference today, that when he announced that he was bringing Zeb in to compete for the quarterback job, that he showed him clips of him playing at Iowa State, and he talked about how he played in an FCS playoff game when the Gamecocks were having the Garnet and Black game. Maybe they see some of that footage and they're like, man, we haven't had a quarterback that could make those throws. Maybe that's, and let's be honest. South Carolina has won 6 games in the past 2 seasons combined. Gamecocks just want to win. They just want to go out there and not look the way that they looked from that disaster that Will Muschamp was. Certain people love Will Muschamp, and I don't get it. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, but as far as building programs, it just didn't work out. 6 wins in 2 seasons is not good. Not good at all. And I think the Gamecock fans just want to win. But this is like the first really big decision of Shane Beamer's coaching career at South Carolina. Who are you going to trot out there first? And the weight of that is on that young man's shoulders. If I had to step back and just look at it from completely an outside perspective, I would probably go with Luke Doty if Doty were able to play. That's in a perfect world. Now, Doty had the cast taken off his foot on Saturday. And the big thing with that, on Sunday, and he's in a boot right now. Me personally, just from the stuff that we have been told, I wouldn't play him against Eastern Illinois. Gamecocks are going to win that game. They could put a wide receiver in their quarterback just to hand the ball off, and they're going to win that game. It's just the way that I feel about it. Now, when they play East Carolina, that would give them a little bit more time to get Doty's foot correct and make sure that it's right. Just saying. That'd be the way that I would go. Now, I would say, why not? Here's the other part of it, though. If you start as Zeb Nolan and he goes out and goes 15 of 17 against Eastern Illinois for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns, now you've had a quarterback controversy. And I don't think Shane Beamer wants that in his first season. Out to the phones we go. Welcome to the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey. How are you?
Bobby, what's up, brother?
Okay. For us listeners, for your listeners that are old enough to remember this name, Pete Rozelle, the commissioner of the NFL.
Yes.
College football is right at that point now where Pete Rozelle, what he did for the NFL, bringing all the networks to grow the league. Right now, with this, whatever you wanted to call it, from 2 to 3 today, that charade, for lack of better words, that mess. Right now, they need a czar. Maybe Nick Saban, and I'm not trying to get him out of Alabama and nominate him, but they need somebody like a Pete Rozelle to essentially bring some sanity to the madness. And I'll use the term Phil Kornblue says on his show quite often. He says, the NFL is socialism, not to get political. College football is communism.
All right, Bobby, I appreciate you calling.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I had it the other way around.
Yeah, I got you. I understand what you're saying.
I misquoted him wrong. He actually said that the NFL is socialism, college football's capitalism. So what I'm trying to imply is that Alabama, all the teams that want to win, everything's going to be slanted that way by championships. But the league essentially really needs equal distribution, like a Pete Rozelle came in and did and said, okay, we're going to keep it a fair and balanced competitive league. Oh, and all the teams in the NFL are going to get an equal share from the networks. Well, this is the point where they need to do it now in college football. Someone has to rise like a Pete Rozelle, and that's what I'm seeing, because it's kind of funny to follow the whole thing on Twitter. So I'm sure you have your opinions. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, Rob. Have a good day.
Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, and I get what he's saying, that everybody should have the same slice of the pie, but in the end, that's not going to work. I mean, let's be honest, what do you got? 65 teams, 64 teams in the Power 5 conferences now, something like that. 65 if you add Notre Dame, because heaven forbid we can't do anything without Notre Dame. Don't you dare try to do anything without Notre Dame. That's not going to work. You want Notre Dame to get into a conference really quick, you tell Notre Dame, look, when we do the new CFP stuff, we're only taking teams from the Power 5. Thank you for playing. Notre Dame will join a conference the next second. The charade of, we're independent, that's just lunacy. And, hey, we're just going to try to grab as much TV money as we possibly can. They should be ashamed of themselves for doing that to college football. But there's that. Show Mimo online says, I say keep fighting players getting what they deserve, as SEC will lead with this, also as in players getting paid. I don't know if that's going to work or not. All right, so tomorrow on the program, I will be off taking my son to Folly Beach tomorrow. Why? Because we are doing Surfers Healing, which of course is it's like an autistic surf camp for the day. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. But on Thursday, my buddy, I'll have one of my good friends on the show. I'll promo that on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Up next, though, is my buddy Lawton Swan. He is the czar of Clemson sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes, follow him on Twitter. He is at Clemson Sports, but you can listen to him from 4 to 6. 4 to 6 right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world in the iHeartRadio app, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. I will be blogging at FoxSportsRadio1400.com. Check that out. All kinds of good stuff there. All right, so we'll do in the next couple of days, we're going to have game-by-game predictions for South Carolina and Clemson. I'll have those on the program here. ACC and SEC picks. We'll have all of that for you right here on the rundown as we get closer and closer to football season. Thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of your day, and we will see you on Thursday. All right, you guys are awesome. We'll see you later on. Yeah, surf camp's going to be good. I do remember that. I do have long-term memory. Alan, you need to stop it. Appreciate you guys, man. We'll see you later on.